Cool. So today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest questions that I think most new coaches have is like, how do you invite people to coaching conversations? Like, how do you invite people to a conversation? Like, what's the way to create a conversation with somebody um, that can lead to a coaching conversation that will lead to paid client? I think that's what most coaches are like. How do I get clients? It's like the biggest question that we have, or at least it was for me in the beginning. It was like, okay, I'm a coach, so how do I get paid? I kind of thought in the beginning, I don't know if anybody else thinks this or thought this, but I thought once I became a coach that people were just gonna like start knocking on my door and messaging me. I thought people were just gonna show up and want to be coached. Does anybody else experience this? That you thought like, okay, I'm a coach now. People are going to show up and they're just going to show up and be like, yeah, I'm ready to be coached. Come on, coach me, coach. Come on. I thought people would be knocking down my door and that didn't happen. Like I thought I was going to post things online and people would see it and then it'd be like, can you help me, please? But that didn't happen. Um,
Yeah,
you
I
experienced that
thought,
too?
yeah, a lot because, and also as a therapist, because I was a therapist before being a coach. And yeah, I, I thought that a lot of people don't go very well. They have problems in their life. They will probably want to have someone to support them to create what they want in their lives. And the psychologists, they are full. Some people here, they wait like 3 or 6 months to see a psychologist. So I said, oh, it will be easy to have clients and coaching. But since and even when I could make insurance claim. How do you say that in English? Insurance. People could put my invoice on their insurance. Even that, it was hard for them to decide to have a coach to do that for themselves. People are, because a lot of people, they don't know what it is, coaching.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Hi, Robert.
So hi, Anne Marie. How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah,
From
yeah,
Anne Marie here,
yeah.
coming in
And
from Hawaii.
it's cold, actually. It's only 7 in the morning. A comment about that is interesting now that I'm really getting involved in it, and I might say something opposite of what you're saying because what I feel, and it could be the reason why people aren't getting paying clients, and what I'm recognizing is that you must be coherent with the type of client you want to coach and who you have become. And sometimes the immaturity of when you just get out of a coaching program or just not having a lot of wisdom can create that feeling. Because even when I was doing marketing way back when, I remember I was getting sales, and my boss always said, you can't get any money when you're starving. You can't sell when you're starving or when you're trying.
Mhm.
So you have to be in a very coherent place to coach, because in order to coach, the person has to believe you, know you, trust you, and you have to have that energy emanating. You have to believe it and know it already. And sometimes, if you're a new coach, you may not have that skill set. And I think if they don't teach you that right from the get go, you're like, I got this skill, I can go and do it. But it's also the belief within you. It's not just people knocking on your door, it's you knowing you are now valuable and can receive the clients who are ready. That's my
Mhm.
experience now, many years later.
Yeah, that's really powerful is, and that's why my coach and a couple of the other mentors that I follow and the things that I share in the group um are very much aligned with coach and be coached. Coach and be coached as much as you can. Coach and be coached, because through the process of coaching other people, we gain the understanding, the experience, we see the value, and then it makes it really easy for us to go out and say, like, hey, would you like to have a conversation about that? Because it's like, how do we invite people to conversations? The answer is in the question.
Mhm.
How do you invite somebody to a conversation? The answer is in the question. What's the answer?
By inviting them.
Right. And there's a embodiment, what Anne Marie's talking about. There is an embodiment or an alignment that comes with that, and knowing, like, I can serve someone in a conversation, and that comes through experience. Um, And I don't want to get too far down the line, because I want to start with asking a question to everybody in the group. And I'd love, if everybody's open to answer this, I'd love to ask this question, because I think this is a thing that's really important in inviting people to a conversation. The first thing is, how do you feel about telling people in your personal life and around you that you're a coach? When you're having a conversation with somebody at the grocery store or the post office, or and you get in a conversation and they ask you what you do, how many people, how do you feel whenever that comes about, and what do you do? I'd love, you can put your answer in the chat, you can unmute yourself and share. And there's no wrong answers, no wrong answers, there's no right answers. That's just the only way to be able to share. I feel that's going to be valuable is just to be authentic, and honest.
I
I guess,
would,
oops, sorry.
sorry, with me, I let my personality, because I work with the public. I have like 500 staff, and I'm just talking about my own perspective, and people, my coworkers, my colleagues, and people that I deal with on a regular basis said, "Why are you always so calm, so patient, so nice?" And I said, "Probably because of what I do out of here." And no one really asks, "What do you do out of here?" So I just let it be again, as what Anne Marie just said, is when you have the confidence, you know what you're doing. Maybe that's where I should come in and say something else, because I just say it's what I do out of here, and the conversation done. They don't respond or anything. But I've been posting on media for a very long time. I had a podcast like 3 going on 4 years now. But the first client I got messaged me and said, "How much do you charge?" Out of the blue, no question asked, not just how much do you charge? And I said, it took me 24 hours before I could respond. And I didn't know my worth. I didn't know anything. I said $40. And she said, can I put on my insurance? And I was like, I don't know. I'll look into that. And we started talking, just my experience, just what I thought I knew. And one day she said, "Can my daughter see you? I'm willing to pay you, but not $40, because I see a big difference in my life." So I use that as a practice for myself, but it's because they're co-workers and they know me, they know I post things, they follow me on my stuff. So that's where I am. But I don't know how to get out of that area and go out there and meet somebody out of, like, on the street and ask me what I do. And but for me, I was looking at another word to say life coach to call myself. I don't know. Probably when we say life coach, people don't know what that is, but I had a few names to call myself. I had a different set of to call myself. So maybe that will trigger something in them. I don't know. I'm new to the paid part because I've been doing that for free. Just people, friends, everybody. Like last night, I had somebody call me up. 45 minutes, good conversation. The insight was amazing. I was so blown away by myself. But then I need to start the pain part, and that's where I think I need the practice, the lesson. I need that. The coaching itself is. I think I have a bit of confidence in that, but it's the part to ask for the paid client now. That's my
That's your challenge. The proposal part and learning how to guide the conversation into the proposal where somebody becomes a paid client is what I'm hearing is the
yes,
challenging part. Gotcha.
yes.
Gotcha. Now, I want to ask this question to everybody else. How do you feel about telling people that you're a coach? I'd love to hear everybody's response. If you're open to put it in the chat or come on screen, Julie.
Um, it changed over the time. At the beginning, I was really proud of that, of being a coach, and after that, because I saw a lot of people here in Quebec. There was a joke on television about, oh, okay, you are a life coach, and because everyone improvised themselves coaches, and it was the people did anything with that term of being a life coach. So there was a lot of things that were said about, like when I said I was a coach, like some people don't take you seriously, didn't take me seriously. So I tried to give myself another name. So when people asked me what I was doing for a living, I said, "Oh, I have conversation with people, and they feel well after, and they send me money on my bank account." I was trying to escape the question. But now I'm proud again to be a coach because of Robert. What a lot of resources you send me. Uh, I fall in love again with the profession of coaching because now I know that I do it from the right place, and I know that as you, I didn't remember, maybe it's Ankush Jean or someone else that said that coaching, it's like you go outside and you have bills of $100, and you give some to people. So is it hard for you to find people to give them a bill of $100 bill? So no, it's not art, but it's the same thing with coaching. Is you if you value the process of coaching and you value yourself doing this process, it's like you give when you give a free session, it's like you give $100 bill. And I know for sure that there's a lot of people I coach for free, and I know they get more than $100 of value in their life just by one or two uh, insight or awareness they have now, and they don't live their life like they live it before. So yeah, so I think it's a lot about the value we give to the coaching process and the value we give to ourselves as a coach, as the what kind of transformation we can help someone, support someone have into their life. So yeah, so but yeah, at the I wasn't proud to be a coach, but now I'm proud. I'm proud, and for me, it's the best job in the world.
Yeah, for me too. I agree. And I think something it takes time and experience to really see the value in the conversation enough times to really feel confident. It did for me anyway. Like it took time to build up the confidence to be like, oh wow, this is actually really valuable. Like there was part of me that knew it was valuable, but I didn't have the experience of how to be there for somebody else. And in the beginning, and I don't know if other people relate to this, but I think the way that I was thinking about my coaching was it was about my coaching and not about the other person. It was more
Mm.
about like me and what I had to offer than what the other person really needed. And I think that's something that's natural and normal. And maybe other people experience this. It's like, well, I have this thing to offer, and they need to figure out how great what I have to offer is. And it was more about me trying to, before I even knew what their challenge was, it was almost like, I can help you. It doesn't matter who you are. I used to say that. And maybe there's other people out there that say that. And now I have a different way of being with it that I don't know if I can help someone because I don't know what another person's level of commitment or interest is. And I think that's something that we can, by creating conversations, we can create. But I want to hear from some other people. How do other people, some people that are newer at this, and I'm not sure how long everybody here has been coaching, but um, how do you feel about telling people that you're a coach? And what do you do if someone says, what do you do? What do you do for a living? Or what do you do? How many people here feel scared to tell other people that they're a coach? Anybody here experience that?
Okay, so I'd like to add to this because I got a little bit of insight. So, in my normal life, like before I started doing this, I'm a professional salesman. Like that's what I do. So for me, like introducing myself, I'm used to introducing myself in the sales format of myself. Like like literally, I will present myself in a uniform. I literally present myself with a kind of like a very boxed like idea. Look, there's a roof. There's these components. These are my crew's the best. You sell on the warranties. You sell on all of these different like things. And where I'm having a little bit of a struggle or maybe a challenge is like really changing my mind and my frame from being that professional in this way to more of a, hey, look, I'm available to help you kind of way of talking to my new clients and perspectives and things like that. Because like right now, I'm used to, hey, I got a whole pocket full of cards. I'm Joe. I got these things. Here you go. So like I got the confidence of the world about talking to people because I'm so used to it. That's a very natural part of my life, my being, who I am. So I'm having a little where my struggle lies in particular is changing my introduction. So my introduction is very much hard, heavy. I can do this. I can help you in this way. We'll go after your insurance company. We'll make them pay. We'll get it done. That doesn't really work in coaching for that way because there's not much connection. I'm selling something to you. You know that I got something that you may want. I'm trying to like literally slowly figure out where I want to add my specialty, and I'm trying to determine how I want to introduce myself as a coach instead of as the business professional my normal self really is. And that's kind of where I'm at with this. And it's because I'm new. Like, to be honest, I'm like 3 weeks, maybe 3.5 weeks into all of this. I first of all had to figure out grounding what I want to do, like where I want to sell, what kind of framing I want to give people. Look, if you give me X amount of dollars, I'll help you X amount of time. I can give you a little bit more or even more, like a scalable offer. Like I still am not quite sure about the offer, but for me, I know that the problem that I'm facing at this particular moment is the transition from like my professional presentation to a more personal presentation. And that's kind of where I'm working on and struggling with. Because like I said, since I'm new, I'm not like in a super big hurry to I need that client. No, it's more of a, how do I want to offer my service in a more personal way that actually makes the impact that I'm looking for. So when I do transition out of what I do in my professional life, it's what I want it to be. I don't want to set myself up for the wrong outcome. So that's kind of where I'm at in my process is trying to learn how to introduce myself in a more personal way.
Mm.
That's what I got.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And I bet there's a lot of people who can relate to that that are here. You said a couple different things that I see Julie has her hand up. I just want to share a couple things. I love like um how do I share what my offer is and shifting that from talking to listening, like really getting curious about the other person. And maybe that's what Julie was going to say. And I think there's a distinction there of like, how do we show up and really listen to somebody else? And I heard somebody share something that was really valuable for me. It was like I can't remember who it was, but he was coaching another coach, and he asked this particular coach, they were going to a networking event, and he said, um, "Hey, what if you went to the networking event and you pretended like you were going to get paid $1 million to play the person that you're with in a movie, and you just show up and you ask them questions so you can learn about who they are as a person so you can play them in a movie." I thought that was so cool. You just like show up and ask them so many questions about themselves and really learn about who they are and what they're up to and what their dreams and their challenges are, and having that distinction of listening versus talking, asking versus telling. I think there's something huge in that. It has been for me as a coach. And I got a lot of work to do on it because there's a lot of times I'm like, I show up to a conversation like, I got to tell you all about me. Let me tell you, I can tell you all about me all day long. Um, and the other thing you said that was really, I think, is relative for people who are here is the personal versus the professional. Like I think there's a way to be professional and also personal. And I think that's the thing is showing up not as your personal self, not as my own personal self. There's an audio called Professional Self versus Personal Self. And it's from Steve Chandler. If anybody wants that audio, I'll share it with you. But I think there's a way to be really personable and also be professional. And I think that's the distinction it's taken me time to grow that. And I have a lot of work to do on that. But there's something in that too. And Julie had her hand up, so I want to defer to Julie and see what she was going to share.
Yeah, it was in the same kind of thing than you said, Robert. Is when I was in the networking events, I hired a lot of coaches in my life about marketing and things like that, and it was always about the elevator pitch. So you have to know by heart your elevator pitch and repeat always the same thing, and this kind of thing, it comes from a place that I have to sell myself. I have to say something that so the people will know what I do and the people will know what I can help them with. And but as you said, when we do the things like in this way, um, it's about us. It's not about them. But if we know that we are good, we know that we are a coach, we know that we are good, we know that we can help people, but we don't know how because it will be them that will find what they want and how they will get to it. So we just have to ask questions so they find it for themselves. So we don't have to be good at telling what we do. We have to be good at listening and asking questions. And if you remember the best evening you have in your life, when you met new people, it was with the people that were listening to you and were the people who ask you a lot of questions and you felt so good. You felt, wow, this person is awesome, but this person, she just asked you question and was interested in you. And sometimes it happened to me. At the end of the evening, I said, wow, I have a very good evening, but I don't know this person because she didn't talk about her. It was all me that talked about myself, but I remember the experience I had in the space that this person this person offered me. So it's just an example to show you that we remember more the people, the experience we had with the people than all what the people said about herself. So,
Yeah, I love that. I
but
love that.
not the people, but the person. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to speak in English because I'm
I understood you completely. I feel like I understood what you shared completely, so it was perfect. And
okay.
I also
Thank
want to
you.
go back to what Anne Marie said because it's really important. You can't you can't sell when you're starving. And I'd love to say we can't serve when we're starving. We can't serve when we're starving. So if we're going into a conversation like, I gotta get a client, gotta get a client, I gotta get a client, I gotta get some money, I gotta get some money, I gotta get some money. Those are the times when the people that we're with are gonna feel that energy. I've come from that energy a lot in my journey as a coach. And I'm like, how can I find the person that's struggling bad enough that they're going to say yes to a conversation with me? And I found them. And then I'm like, oh, what the hell did I get myself into? I got these clients that I don't want to work with because I went after the people who were desperate because I was desperate. And that's okay. It's like it's part of the journey. It's part of the journey. So I think there is something to that. And Michael Neal shares something that I love. He's like, he had a coach that came to him and he said, well, he was just starting out being a coach. And he said, I quit my job. I'm going to be a coach. And he said, what should I do now? And Michael says, go get your job back. I love that. I love that so much because it's like if we're in need of a client to survive, then it's very hard for us to show up in the service and space energy and no need. Because when we have a strong need, um, to get a client, in my experience, this has been my experience, people run away faster than you can shake a stick. They're
Mhm.
like, I got to get the hell out of here. Gone, the people run away. I've experienced that time and time again. And it's okay. And I also want to say it's okay. And I see you have your hand raised, Oliver. I want to share that it's part of the journey. So please stay the path. Please stay the path and keep going because that is part of the experience in the beginning. It's like, it's just part of it. But the more we can be in service, the more we can be in love, the more we can be in alignment. This is my experience. The more we can be in gifting and giving mode, the more people are going to be excited to be with us and have a conversation with us. This is in my experience. Um, Oliver, you got your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I'm thinking about what Daniel said and how to introduce yourself as a coach. And what you just said, I think there's a natural challenge when you're switching from other career to coaching, particularly if that career is not relevant or not very much relevant. So if you leave your career before you establish your coaching, then you might fall into that struggling phase, which has its own limitations, like the energy of neediness, um, And if you don't quit your previous career and want to start your coaching in parallel, then you still might have other sorts of challenges. For example, what my colleagues would think about me introducing myself, what my boss would think. Does he think that I'm not committed to my job? I'm focusing on something else other than what I should focus? And that's one aspect. And another aspect is when you start as a coach and you want to introduce yourself as a coach, you might have this thing in back of your mind that what if I introduce myself as a coach, particularly to my inner circle, people that know me, and then it doesn't work out. And then they would ask me, so did you fail at becoming a coach? I think that can also be a challenge. I'm not particularly suggesting any solution. I just want to validate these challenges that they are real. And on the other hand, for people to trust you as a coach, it definitely helps that you be very clear that I am a coach. Because how they're going to trust you even if you're not confident on your own journey. So I also experienced similar challenges in my startup, which is about coaching, but it wasn't about coaching myself at the time. I kind of delayed, hesitated to put the main thing out there. So I had a recorded video which stayed on my computer for 1 year before it was published, just before New Year. And I understand the challenge of switching. So if someone else has any comment on it, I would be happy to hear.
Oliver, did you have like a video camera at my house? Because I feel like you shared exactly what I've gone through. It's like we all go through that. That's the whole point of this is for us to come together and see that, yeah, me too. How many people here could say, yep, me too, me too, me too, right? The delays and the hesitations. Like how many times have we delayed and hesitated because of we're thinking something in our head? And there's another audio that I love. It's called Test versus Trust. It's like, test it, find out if your thinking is true. I had a coaching session with one of the people in our group earlier in the week. And one of the things that we talked about was like, test the thinking in your head. These people are never going to want to talk to me again. They probably didn't have a good experience. What if they had this session and it didn't change something in their world? Well, did you ask them? No. Okay, we'll go back and say, hey, would you like to have another conversation? I'd love to see where you're at in your world. It's funny how the mind can tell us all these things and then we believe it instead of testing it. Like, test it out, find out, ask. Hey, how was that for you? Did you find value in it? How's your life since our last conversation? I love what you're sharing. It's amazing, and I relate. I relate. I feel like you've
Thank
been
you.
watching me. I'm looking for the cameras around my around my house. Anne Marie has her hand up.
Yeah, I really love this conversation because I feel like this is part of the framework that I want to be able to share with people about the transitions. So when I and it's also part of how I identify with a coach as a coach now or as someone doing breath work, and it happens organically. So just a tiny background, I became a personal chef in Maui, I guess 18 years ago, and immediately I was able to get clients because I identified it with it, because I was skilled at it. I was a natural gift. So when I started getting clients, I had never had an issue. I said, I'm a chef. This is what my cost is. And, got paid thousands of dollars. It was just, there was no incongruency. But in order to become a coach, that transition took much longer because I had to identify with how do I now sell what I'm selling, but what is the product? And see, when I was a chef, and just like with the gentleman with the roofie, was so easy because he's like, this is what I'm selling, this is the product, this is the people who I'm going to bring, and I don't know what the other gentleman does. But when you have a concrete item, this is the menu, what would you like, what time is it, blah blah blah, it's much easier. Let's just start with that. So what I have discovered over these last, especially since 2022, when I did my training in India, I recognize how important it is to have something as a container to be able to share with people what it is that I am now doing and becoming. And that has helped me ease into this. So now I do the breathwork sessions, guided shavasanas, meditations. And the one client who's paying me, not necessarily just for the breath work anymore, but as a life coach, happened organically because I would demonstrate it, my value into how it's shifting his life. So then I can say, hey, I said, I'm not just doing yoga with you anymore and breath. He said, no, I'm doing coaching. So he knows my coaching process, but we've identified it now as how it's shifting. And so that container has to be kind of identified. So when can identify, okay, I'm teaching a yoga class. Hey, I'm a yoga or breath work or, you know, life coach. It's almost as if what is now I'm able to sell, but not, I'm not saying sell, but what I'm able to provide people can be identified. And I could not identify what I was able to provide people. So now I can feel like I'm able to shift people, or people say, wow, you really helped me through this hard time. So if I see somebody who I can help, then I'll say, would you like to come and see what I experienced? Because this shift is real. And then I'll give the example of what this particular person I've been working with since April, or like another person said, you know, I don't know what I would have done without you if I didn't have your support during this very challenging time. So glad we were able to do this. And so part of it is getting the identification of what actually I'm able to provide people and be able to articulate. So like she was saying, Julie, about I don't think it's an elevator sales pitch. I really do believe it's an identity shift of how you can actually articulate, communicate, and be very clear and that's what I'm working on right now. What are the results? What did it, and like last night I worked on an article called Coherence, and it's going to be my manifesto for my online group. And it's all about coherence in 2026. But again, this is taking a process. So when Oliver was speaking about identity shift, when you're transitioning, you really have to, like, I've been living it since 2022, like living, breathing this transition so I had to shift from being a chef. So even I can do a little bit of work as a chef, but I don't identify as a chef anymore. I identify as a transformative breathwork coach, life. Yeah. So that, working on these life, was stabilizing your nervous system. So I identify as that 90% more than I identify as a chef, even though I have the same chef skills. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's a big, big difference now in my identity of who I've become. When I first thought I was going to be a coach in 2022, I couldn't say, hey, I'm a coach, would you like to come to a breathwork session? No, it's been a very long journey to identify, to develop the product, to become much more able to articulate it.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why coaching and being coached are the two most important things, because that is, in my experience, has helped me to embody and realize, oh, I am a coach, experience where a conversation can help to transform somebody else's life. And in one of our last conversations, I think it was the last group, we talked about what do you sell? That was one of the big questions that we had in our last group of what do you sell? And I think the difference between, in my experience, the difference between coaching and other professions is in coaching, we're selling what the other person wants. And to be able to know what the other person wants, guess what? We have to ask them what they want and get really clear about what they want. So sometimes there's programs that can have a certain result that can bring people in and know what the outcomes are. But for like one-on-one coaching, we have to know what the other person wants to know what we're selling. It's the only way to know what we're selling. So we can't sell anything until we actually talk to somebody. In my experience, for one-on-one coaching, if we don't talk to somebody and find out what they want, what do we know? How do we know what they want? How do we know what we're selling? Because we're selling somebody else an experience. It's an experience. In my this is my from my experience, we're selling an experience and knowing what somebody else wants. So, how do you figure out what somebody else wants? You have to have a couple conversations with that person and you find out what they want and see if there's a way you can help them. And that's what I found is the most useful ways to connect with people and find out what they want and see if you can help them get that because you might not be able to. Their level of commitment might not be enough. Their level of their willingness and commitment may not be enough because that's not about us either. Um, Julie, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I have a lot of things to say about. In the beginning, I wanted to answer to Oliver because I did that. I quit my job. I retired at 34 years old from my very paying job. I was a microbiologist in an hospital, and I wanted to retire, so I couldn't return for the money. And I did that before I have enough client to pay my rent and my bills, and the result was that I had 4 months of panic attacks. And it was really hard. I don't suggest to anyone to do that, but we always learn from there's always gifts in our mistakes. So after that 4 months, I never panicked again. I never be stressed again, not one single hour, because I found out to not stress again. Um, and also, the other thing that I did that blocks me a lot to be a full-time coach is I was always searching, um, I am a coach in what? What do I sell? And I did a lot of personal development, and one week I said, okay, I will coach people with stress. And like 2 weeks after, I said, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. So I did that for like 10 years to like search myself. I'm a coach in what? And it was a joke in my family. Okay, your Julie is always searching about herself. And now what I've realized is that for me, it's my opinion that a real coach can coach anyone. And I compare it to a doctor. If a a generalist doctor, a family doctor, he doesn't has a specialty, is the first line doctor. And if he does a good job, the people won't have to go to a specialist after. So if your generalist coach do a good job, you won't have to do to a marketing coach, to a ABC coach, XYZ coach, because if your coach do, because all the answers are always there. The people don't need other strategies. They need to find their own strategies. So we are there to help them find the answer, open the doors, and be committed, take action. And we know that when someone is committed and when someone do the actions, they get results. It's inevitable. So yeah. So what I wanted to do to say is that um, yeah, what we sell, it's being a coach is it's a way of being, and coaching is a process. And yeah, so if we are good at this way of being and we know what is the process, we will get result at every time, and it will be easy. And the thing I wanted to say, I remember now, is that I think the only thing required to be a really great coach is to be passionate about coaching. Because if I wasn't passionate, I will have abandoned many times, you know, because of what I didn't know. And if I was now beginning to be a coach, the things I would do right now is to hire very great coach to coach me. It's the only mistake I did is that one. I hired like coach, but not great coach. I didn't hire the coach that were really inspiring me. For a long time, I was the coach, the most inspiring coach for myself, but I didn't know that people like like Steve Ardison or Ankush Jean, or I didn't know that, or like Robert, I didn't know that coaches like that existed before I met you. Yeah. So
I
be
love that.
coached.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for putting me in the same conversation as Steve Hardison and August Jake. That's pretty fun.
And the coach at Landmark too. They are really good. Yeah.
uh,
Mm.
um, the other thing I want to say is there's no way to, and from my experience, there's no way to get this wrong. The
Yeah.
only way that could be wrong to do this is just to not stay on the path of being a coach. It's like just keep you have a niche, cool, go with it. Do just keep on going, keep inviting, keep asking, keep coaching, keep being coached. Like do whatever you have, do whatever comes to you to do. There's no right or wrong answer. Like I don't have the answers. It's just like stay on the path, stay on the path, stay on the path, stay on the path, and then stay on the path some more, and then just keep staying on the path. That's like the big piece. And there's a quicker way. Um, and I think this group is what this is all about, is helping coaches create their consistent, like creating consistent clients for free. You don't have to pay anything in this group. And the 15th of January, we're gonna have Raghav Parkash. He's an amazing, amazing coach. He's been coaching for 14 years. He's taught me so much, and he's been taught by the best. He's coached with Ankush, and also been with Steve Hardison. So please, if you're open to be here for that, we would love to have you. Um, Joe, you have your hand up, and after Joe shares, I'd love to have some other people that haven't shared yet to come on and maybe share a little bit. And then I know we want to talk, what this was about was how do you invite people to coaching conversations. So I want to share some things that I've found that have been really useful to me that can be helpful for you to be able to do that as well. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so while we were like, I'm listening to you guys and like we're doing this and going through this, the very first thing I want to talk about like is about like the business side of things. How many of you guys actually have like, because like I'm talking about like identification from your head. Like I want to identify as a coach more instead of just a business person. Like, do you guys use business cards? Like, hey, I'm a personal coach. Because right now my business code cards say Absolute Restorations. I'm a restoration specialist. Like, have you guys like tried that like very traditional? Because like business card marketing is a face-to-face marketing campaign. Like, I'm giving you this business card so that you'll potentially call me back and be invited into my world. Here you go. Here's my card. Like right now, like I
Mhm.
said, my card right now is an absolute is about my restorations company that I work for, and I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to change my identity to coach. So I wonder how many of you guys actually like changed your business card, and when you meet somebody, boom, this is my business card. I'm personal coach, or I'm this kind of coach, I'm relationship coach, whatever kind of coach it is that you do, like, or a general coach, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many have done that? And then the other part of my question that I kind of came up with as we were talking was about like package definition or offer, like transitioning from the conversation of, hey, we're meeting each other and figuring out what your what is, to boom, how are we getting into a routine where we're moving the conversation forward and moving the process forward every week, month, whatever it is you want to base your coaching sessions around. So those are the two kind of questions that came up in my mind. I just wrote them down as we were talking. And I just kind of wanted to feel you guys out, like how that worked for you. Do you use that? Is that how you guys offer your when you're going up in your personally, hi, I'm Joe. Here's what I do. Here's my business card. I right now, like I said, mine does not say coach. And I want it to say coach. And I just haven't, I just wondered if anybody has actually done that part of it.
Yeah, I can share my experience around that. And the other thing I wanted to invite you to, Joe, is I love your question around like leading a conversation into sale is what I'm hearing. And I would say the conversation on the 15th might be great to ask Raghav about that. So maybe create that question to be as short and sweet as you can and bring that question on the 15th to Raghav. He will be able to give you some insights around that, I think. And for this conversation, I'd love to keep it around inviting people to a conversation, like the first part. It's like first connecting and inviting somebody to a conversation. And we'll definitely get into that later on down the road. Cool. Is it cool with that? And I want to tell you a story about something that happened to me recently, this past week. Is we have something here called the Dollar Tree. I don't know if you have that, but for a long time, everything was a dollar, and now it's $1.25. They raised it. So I stopped going for a couple of months because I was like, $1.25? Nope, not cool. But it's $1.25 now for pretty much everything in the store. There are certain things that are $5, but most of the stuff's $1.25. And I was getting a birthday card and a bag, and I was at the register with my daughter, and there was somebody who came in or was in front of us in line, and I recognized him from somebody that I had known from my previous career as a restaurant operator, and manager of family business. And he used to love to get raspberry pie when he came to the restaurant. And I remembered, I said, how long? And I've changed my looks. I have a beard and glasses now. So I didn't think he would recognize me from like 5 years ago. And I said, when's the last time you had a good piece of black raspberry pie from the Foot of the Mountain restaurant? It was the restaurant that I used to work at and operate. And he was like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in a long time. And he said, what are you doing now? And I said, I'm a coach. And I said, I work with business owners, individuals, music professionals, artists, and I help them create the life of their dreams. And he said, really, that's amazing. And he said, well, and then I asked him because the restaurant's being sold. I asked him if he knew anybody that might be interested in buying the restaurant. And I also told him if he ever knew anybody that wanted to connect for coaching, and I gave him my card. And my card is a music card. It's not a coaching card. I don't have my coaching business on my card. It's a card that I use for my music business. Um, so I think in my experience, you can use any card that has your information on it to give to somebody if they're interested in connecting with you, if it has your info. Um, and I have done that before. I've had a bunch of different cards. I did brochures. And do you want to know what the ROI was on all those things? I would say I've spent at least $3,000 in brochures, cards, advertisements, posters, ads online. Do you know what the ROI has been on that?
What is it? Zero, huh?
Zero, zero on all that stuff. The ROI has been zero. But creating conversations and inviting people personally to conversations has been that's been pretty amazing. Most people that I invite to a conversation, now not all the people that I talk to in a conversation become clients, but every person that I talk to in a conversation, there's value added, and it makes a difference for their life. So that's I wanted to share that. I don't know if anybody else has business cards for your business, for your coaching business, but I haven't spent any money on that at all since I've done that in the past few years.
Yeah,
Um,
when you speak with people, they don't care about your business card.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they care about the experience that you have with them. Um, so I want to know, what do you feel like would be useful for you? Do you have any questions around inviting people to conversations, like an initial connection conversation that would be valuable for you, for the people that are on the call right now? Any questions coming to mind? Let me ask you this. How many people here have invited at least one person to a conversation within the past 30 days? One, two, three, four, five. Cool. Cool. Awesome. And anybody more than 10 conversations? Cool. And out of those conversations, what has been the amount of yeses, would you say?
When you say
What do you mean?
yes, what do you mean? Because for me, I am just trying to find the different ways that I am more comfortable, I'm more sure. Um, I think I can coach anyone. I think so. I strongly believe that. But I'm just taking people on just to get different. It's for me to learn. They're like my guinea pigs. That's how I see it. They are my guinea pigs. And I'm just getting, because it's a variety of different things. I have a university students that I had a great insight with him yesterday about things he was never aware of. And he came up with it's like, so that taught me on oh wow. And I learned how I could bring it out of younger people. And I realized, wow, most of the people that I talk with are younger than me. So how I could relate to younger people. Um, when I get an older person, it's kind of it takes them longer to open up. I find younger people more open up to me. So I'm finding they're like my, as I said, they're like my guinea pig. I'm trying. So I'm just going like I have 3 clients every day, just for me to have a 45 minutes with them, for me to know the best way to open, the best way to close, the best way to say we have 5 minutes left and what we can get out of the 5 minutes and what's your insight today. I'm just finding different things. So I I think because I have a job, I'm not looking at the money part of it yet. I'm just looking at how I could be the best that I am. So when I do find this big paid client, I think I'll be ready. That's how I see it. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's a great way to look at it. Like the more Rich Litvin, I don't know how many people are familiar with Rich Litvin. And I'll show you the book. Let's see if I can get it. It's underneath about 8 other books. Hold on. Rah. The Prosperous Coach. I don't know how many people are familiar with the Prosperous Coach book, but Rich Litvin, how he got started was he coached people. Michael Neal did the same thing. He coached people for free for quite a while. And Rich Litvin, I think he charged like $3 or something for people, like something really cheap. But he did that for an extended period of time. And he became really, really good about seeing what works and how to invite people to conversations and creating service. And I think that's a beautiful way for everybody here on the call to take from that to create that. And here's another piece, which is a pretty amazing. I heard today, I listened to a video with Ankush Jain from like 9 years ago, and he started working with a younger coach. And he said the younger coach created, I think he was charging like between $10 and $40 for a coaching. I think it was $10 for a coaching conversation, and he said it's better to have 10 conversations at $10 than one for $100 because
Mm.
you get experience, you serve people, and the other thing is when you serve people in that conversation, then those people sometimes, and I found this too, when you serve somebody, those are people who will go out and tell other people like, "Hey, you got to have a conversation with Daniel." You've already experienced that, Daniel. You shared it here. It's like people go out and they tell people, like, man, I had a conversation with this dude and my life changed. Like, you need to talk to him. It's only $10. But sometimes people in the beginning, like me, my prices were so outrageous. I was charging $10,000 a year with experience of somebody that probably should have been charging about $50 per year, and I was charging 10,000, and I was like, all these people were coming to me and saying no. I was like, I can't figure this out. Why do people saying no? But my experience level was here and my price was here, you know? So I think it's great. It's great to create. How do you create your coaching practice to be full? If you're charging $10 and your value of your conversations is here and you're charging here, you're going to have a full client list real quick, right? So I think that's an amazing way is to and maybe something else if you're open to it, Daniel, is creating a super low ticket. You know what I mean? Like something super low where you're like, hey, this is part of you investing and creating that, whatever that looks like for you or feels comfortable, creating that really low bar of entry for people so you can create those people, however many you want to have to be full for your particular coaching business. And that's a great way also to start to learn how to um, take money for coaching and create you know, the smaller proposal. I think it's easier to ask somebody for $10 in the beginning than to say 10,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, are you ready? Is this valuable? Great. How about 10,000? They're like, hell no, I'm paying 10,000 for this. You know. So that's an idea, and that's been useful for me as well. I've done everything backwards, so I think one of the great things is I think I've done everything backwards in the way that it probably would have worked best. So I've made a lot of choices that probably created my business to take a lot longer than it could have. Let's see, somebody shared something in the messages here. How many people invited Sage or Tony? This is from Nikki. And what is the best solution? Nikki, if you come on in a moment, I'd love to hear more about what your question was. Julie has her hand up.
Yeah, so hi, Robert, so and all of you.
Oh, okay. Hi, Nikki.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so my question was about Sage and Tony Robbins. So they are not doing even 1 hour, or they are doing group courses and group sessions for 3, 5 days, it depends, and they are doing often 3 days or 5 days, to sell. And I believe this is a way that it works and is nice because it's one of things that I'm doing and it works.
Yeah.
So 3 days and I'm not able to have like 8 hours on the road, no way. But I'm doing like 1 hour, 2 hours, and I sell my group courses. And in this case, with discounts, of course. After 3 days, I increase the price again to the normal. And yeah, you can sell. And you have groups, and I'm going online 2 times by week or 1 times, and I stay there 2, 3 hours, is depending. I answer to all the questions, and it's not about me actually. It's about who is committed to change, because I cannot change or control anything, anybody. What I can control is just myself, and what I can do, I can guide, support, be there if they have questions or something, uh, I can explain how it works, how the mind is working with NLP and whatever Robert, we did like 10 years ago or so. But I cannot change anybody. If they are not committed and they are not like stuck and they really want to change. So, yeah.
Yeah. Add value, add value. Yeah. Create things that are valuable for people. Yeah, I love that. Is what I was hearing and what you were sharing. Thank you for that. Julie, you have your hand up.
Yes, I want to share a mistake that I did when because I had a lot of people that wanted to work with me, but it's like I felt that they were not committed, and even if they paid them, they they were not committed. Okay, and to prevent that kind of thing to happen, I raised my price. I raised my price, and because I had the belief that really committed people will pay more. But after that, I have people that paid, but because some people, because they pay, they are the client, they decide what they want to do, and they were not committed because they paid more. So yeah, so I realized that it was just a belief that committed people pay more. So what I've decided is that it's all about how we create ourselves and how we create our clients. Because if I create myself as a really good coach and I create the clients as a master that can be committed, if we find together the thing, because every people on earth is committed to something. We just have to find what it is. And yeah, so when I've started to talk to the part of them that is committed, the money was not a problem anymore. But there's a realities about if I ask $5,000 to someone that already have a paycheck of 100K per year, it won't be a problem for him. But if I ask the same price to a person who only do like 30K a year, so yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that I don't have fixed fees anymore. I just go with my intuition when yeah. Sorry, I saw a timer. Okay. Yeah, so now I just go with my intuition, with what I want to do with the coaching. Yeah. Sorry, maybe I'm not clear, but
So does it depend on the client, or you mean you don't have fixed rate and it can change based on client?
yeah, I go with my feeling, because what I've experienced is when I have fixed things, people are a lot of people are different. So I I try to be creative about it's like I don't care anymore. It's not that I don't care about money, but I don't care anymore to a lot about money. I just want to serve. I just want to support people. And I want people to taste what it is to be committed to something, to take action, to get the result. And I have a lot of people, not a lot, but a few people that I charge less, but they see that the value that they are getting is higher than what they paid, and they just they send me money because they want to, because they love me, they love the coaching. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm tired to live in a world where it's all about the money. And I think that if we surrender, everything will be okay. It's what I it's what I live for 14 years now, and I'm okay. I'm not in a bankruptcy, and it's yeah.
yeah, coaching is one of the best professions for that particular reason, is because it is so creative and there are no rules. We get to make up whatever rules that we want for us or for the clients that we're working with. To We get to do that if we want. We can have sliding scale. We can charge people who don't have money twice as much as people who do, or we can do it however we want. We get to create it however we want. Um, so I love that. It just speaks to the creative part of this profession that I do love so much, that we get to make our own rules. Something I
Yeah.
wish I could have done when I was in school. I kind of did that anyway, but um so I want to share some things that I think could be valuable of some of the things that I do to create conversations with people. I've created conversations on an airplane, at the airport, waiting on an airplane. I've created conversations at the post office, at the grocery store. Everywhere I go is an opportunity. And I want you to hear this about you. Everywhere I go is an opportunity to create a conversation with somebody that could make a difference for them. And that's what I want you to hear, is like every place that you are, there's an opportunity to create a conversation with somebody that can make a difference. Um, and everywhere you are, your presence can make a difference. And one of the things that I love to do is, this is one of my favorite books in the world. And some of you may have noticed in the group that I posted about gifting these books to some people that watched one of the videos. which I want to acknowledge Julie because I had already sent Julie a book and she messaged me and said, if I watch the video and reply, will you send me another book that I can gift to someone? And I was like, sure. Uh, and so one of the ways that I add value or make a difference in people's life is I enroll them to read this book that has like almost 500 pages. But reading this book really transformed my life. And it made a difference for me. And I have other books too, but that's one of the ways that I create conversations with people is I'll find somebody that I'm connecting with and I'll enroll them to read a book and I'll gift them a book and I'll enroll them to read the book and I'll invite them to say, hey, if you read this book, I want you to promise that you're going to read the book. And I also want you to promise that when you're done reading the book, that you're going to message me back and let me know what you heard in this book. Because one, it's going to help them take the learnings deeper. And two, it's going to create dialogue with us together. And I get to see whether this person is a committed person or somebody who's really enrolled in themselves, because the people that I want to work with are people who are committed and enrolled in creating a life that is amazing, like that's the people that I want to work with, because I've said yes to a lot of people who weren't in that state because I wanted money, and guess who suffered? Me. So that's one way that I create conversations. Another way is acknowledgments. When I see something that I appreciate, when I go to a business and I see something I appreciate, I acknowledge the owners of the business for what I see and what I appreciate, and I tell them that I really love what they're up to. That's another way that I create conversations. And then when we get in conversation and they ask what I do, I'll tell them that I'm a coach and that I work with business owners. And that's another way that I create conversations. When I see something I love, I point it out and I talk about it. So acknowledgments create. And that's a great way to create conversations with people. I've even said before, like if I see somebody has a really pretty necklace or something, I'll say, "Oh, I love that necklace," or "I love your tattoo," or "I love your hat," or "Hey, you have a really beautiful smile." And that opens up dialogue. And from there, a lot of times people ask me what I do, and I tell them I'm a coach. And I don't do it to create conversation. I do it because I love to have conversations with people, but I do it because I actually really genuinely appreciate those things. Like I don't go, what can I say that I'm going to appreciate so this person will have a conversation? I don't do that. I look for things that I love and appreciate and I share it. And that opens up a door to conversation that sometimes may lead to the opportunity to serve someone in a like container, like what Anne Marie was talking about. So those are a few ways that I find that are really useful to serve people, and then sometimes it leads to a conversation. But the main way is that you can't get what you don't ask for. So the only way that somebody comes to a conversation is I have to invite them. And there's a podcast episode called Podcast The Ultimate Coach Podcast 111, and one of the things Steve Hardison says, and if you would like that, I'll send it to you. Um, Also, if you want the Test versus Trust audio, or what was the other one? There was another one that we were talking about earlier, but Test versus Trust are 111. But Steve Hardison says in the audio, he's like, asking is the most underutilized skill, or the most underutilized skill that we have. Like we all have the ability to go out and ask, but it's the one thing that we don't do. Like I found myself early on, it would be a lot easier for me to hide behind a Facebook post and hope somebody's going to connect with me because I posted something than just asking somebody directly, right? Asking is the most underutilized skill that we have, or the most underutilized tool that we have to be able to create what we want to create for our coaching business in my experience. And starting to learn how to use that will change your world in your coaching business, guaranteed. It has for me. So just asking. Byron Katie says, you can have anything you want if you're willing to ask 1,000 people for it. You can have anything you want if you're willing to ask 1,000 people for it. Test it. See if it's true. Try it. Try it and find out. I know Oliver has his hand up. Is there somebody, please let me know if there's something you hear in this or a question. We have about 5 minutes. So I want to go to Oliver. Oliver?
Yes, probably it's late to open new question or topic, but what you share about opening up conversation, I think there is no doubt that even without the concept of coaching, opening conversation, human connection has enormous value. And even as a coach, it gives you more perspective into other people's lives. These are all very obvious. But I question if we're talking about potential coaching client, might any random conversation result in a potential clients knowing that the percentage of population that might want to have a coach, any coach, is a very small percentage. I mean, even if you're a great coach, even if a great conversation and connection starts, um, the part of people who want to have a coach is a tiny part, isn't it? I mean, for me, the question is how to connect to people who already have potential and willingness to have a coach.
Yeah, I love that. That's a phenomenal question. I love that. I love that question. And I don't know that it's kind of like, let me think. How many people here have ever eaten dragon fruit? Daniel, anybody else?
Can you repeat your question?
Dragon fruit. Have you ever, Daniel's
Yeah,
eaten
yeah,
dragon fruit.
yeah.
I've eaten dragon fruit. You've eaten dragon fruit. So how do you sell dragon fruit to somebody that's never tasted it? How do you know if they like dragon fruit unless they've tasted it? So the lower percentage of the population haven't experienced a powerful, deep coaching conversation that really helps them uncover um, really that part. So it's like you never know. You never know who's going to be that person that you're like, here, try this dragon fruit. They're like, man, I love that dragon fruit. I got to get a case of them. Send them to my house right away, right?
You gotta let them
Um,
try it. You gotta
right.
explain, and you have to explain to them it's red. You have to and you have to know where it comes from. It's part of the cactus.
No,
It,
you just let them taste it. You know,
yes,
they don't have to know. They don't have to know any of that. You just to give them a bite and let them taste it. And here's the other thing, Oliver, and this is what I'm learning too, is sometimes maybe that person doesn't become a client when you have your first conversation. But when you create that as a relationship of somebody that you have that you can serve and connect with, maybe 10 years down the road, that person will be open and ready. And it's like, how do we create conversations when the people that we connect with, um, it's not, they're not a no, they're just a not right now. And you continue to serve and connect with that person and love that person and serve and help that person in the way that's helpful for them. And I'm going to give you a good example. We got 1 minute on Cush Jane. That guy has served me like nobody else. He's made such a huge difference in my world. And just the other week, I was on a coaching call with another coach that lives in Canada, and he's a recovery coach. And we were talking about Onkush, and I was like, man, that guy has served me. And then I go, you know what? I've never spent a dime on that guy. I never gave him any money. He's had like 5 coaching conversations with me in the past 3 years. I never spent a dime. I went out and bought 2 of his books and sent one to my client and sent one to another person in the group because I realized that guy's served me powerfully for the past 5 years and I never bought anything. And I just bought 2 books from him. So it's like that's how I want to be in my coaching. And that's what this group is about, is helping us all to create from that place where we can make a difference in people's lives, even if they never spend money with us, because that's what it's all about. And Daniel, if you want to reach out to me, connect. We're at the hour 30 mark, and I want to make sure we stick it to the time. So I want to tell you all I appreciate you. There'll be a recording for this. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to the 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern with Raghav Parkash. Love y'all. Have a great day. See ya.
Thank you.
See
Have
ya.
a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.